Welcome to my second video about the game of Oath by Cole Wehrle, published by Leather Games. And by now, after seeing my first video, you understand how to win this game, but how do you do that, where to start, what to do. Here is a game table with 4 players. One is the Chancellor, others are citizens and exiles. Every game turn, Chancellor always plays first. Then, each player plays his turn in clockwise order. When all players have finished, we move the turn marker to the next turn, and so on until the end of the game. Easy. And what does the player do during his turn? He does actions. Let's take blue player as an example, an exile player. You can see all possible actions on the left side of every player mat. On his turn, a player can travel from site to site, search a site for new denizens, trade with local denizens, recover a relic or a banner, he can muster troops to expand his army, and then campaign to take control of sites, to steal relics or banner, or to banish other players. He can manage his advisors, firing some, hiring others. He can deal with denizens or advisors or use his relics powers. He can reorganize his troops, and finally, if he has the power to do so, he can offer citizenship or exile himself or other players. And that's all you can do during your turn. You freely choose among this list of actions, but you cannot do them all, because each action you do burns your supply. Every player has a supply track with a supply counter on it. You can see supply as your energy or even your personal time. As a leader, you must choose how you allocate this energy, this time, between all possible actions. Every action costs supply. When you don't have supply anymore, or when you don't want to spend any more supply, your turn is over. Travel costs between 1 and 4 supply, search costs between 2 and 4, trade costs 1, so do recover and muster, campaign costs 2, all other actions have no symbol because they are free and cost no supply. At the end of his turn, the player rests and regains supply for his next turn. The more warbands he has in his army, the less supply he recovers. And this is because maintaining a large army costs energy and time. Let's suppose that blue player has 1 warband on the map. These are some kind of garrison that protects the site he rules, and 5 warbands in his personal army on his mat, his Praetorian Guard. So his army is made up of 6 warbands. And because every player has a total of 14 warbands, this player keeps 8 warbands in reserve. And that's what we find on the supply track. 8 warbands in reserve would restore his supply to this box, and because he kept 1 unused supply point from previous turn, his supply for next turn will start here. Players keep from turn to turn any supply point they don't spend. Okay, and now let's learn these actions one by one. First of all, travel, the simplest one. Every player has a pawn on the map. This pawn represents the player himself. The travel action moves your pawn on the map from site to site. It costs from 1 to 4 supply points. This cost depends on how far you travel. Remember the true geography of the empire. Distances on the map are the costs you must pay to travel. There is a cost chart for every region, the cradle, the provinces and the hinterland. On these charts, a circular arrow shows the cost when you travel inside the region between 2 sites of this region. As you can see, this cost is not the same for every region because the hinterland is more widespread than the provinces, which are larger than the cradle. A simple arrow shows the cost to travel to an adjacent region. This cost is always 2. And a double arrow shows the cost to travel to a site 2 regions away. This cost is always 4. Okay, and you find these 3 charts on the regular game map. Being in the cradle, blue player uses this distance chart. He can go to any site he wishes. He can even go to a site with other player warbands or pawn. He can go to a face-down site. Let's suppose blue player wants to travel there, adjacent region, it costs 2. He pays 2 supplies and travels. Note that his warband stays behind. Warbands on sites are garrison and never moves. Travel is only for pawns. Note also that the pawn travels with all belongings that are on his personal mat, and that includes some warbands. See them as his personal guard which follows him wherever he goes. And if the pawn goes to a face-down site, he automatically explores it. He flips the card. First, he looks at the top left corner of the card to see what he finds in this new site. Some sites are empty, like the Rocky Coast, but other contains treasures, like the Drowned City with 3 secrets and 2 relics. Relics always appear face down, but a player can freely look at any relics where his pawn is. So here, blue player can take a look at both these relics, but they are not his. If he wants to take them, he must use the recover action. There are other data on side cards. Top right, this blue die is the intrinsic defense of the site, and this number, the maximum number of denizens this site can accommodate. Bottom left, some special effects you get in this site. There are several such special effects detailed on a player aid. I let you discover them as you play. Discovery is a big part of what makes this game so unique. Bottom right, this is the cost, so the difficulty to recover this site's relics. But we will see that in more details later. And that's it for the travel action. Next one is the search action. Searching is what you do, what your pawn does, when you want to meet new denizens. Denizens are the core of this game. They are the people of the empire. They all have their capabilities or their powers that you will use to reach your goals. In a game of Oath, you build your strategy by weaving a network of denizens. Okay, and where do you search for denizens? In sites. Remember, as blue player, we just traveled to a face-down site and we somewhat automatically discovered it. Now, it's time to do the search action to find some denizens in this new site. The basic cost of the search action is 2 supply. Let's pay it. Then we draw 3 cards from the so-called world deck, the deck of all cards. Then blue player chooses 1 card and only one, and he puts it beside the side card. In other words, he found and met this denizen on that site. That's where this guy lives. The 2 remaining cards are discarded. There are 3 discard piles, 1 per region, and whenever a player must discard cards, he discards them in the next region discard pile. If he is in the cradle, he discards in the provinces. In the provinces, he discards in the hinterland, and in the hinterland, he discards back in the cradle. In our example, blue player was in the provinces, so he discards in the hinterland. And then, every time you discover a new denizen, you gain 1 favor from the bank of its domain. Every denizen belongs to a domain, a suit. The denizen which blue player just discovered is from the nomad suit, and thus, searching for denizens is a way to gain favors. You can call that money, 1 coin for each denizen. Okay, so, as you see, search is a quite easy action, but let's dig from now into some details. First, each site has its size limit. It is found in the top right corner of the card, and it is the maximum number of denizens that can live on that site. Blue player is on the Lush Coast. This site's capacity is 3. There's only 1 denizen here, so no problem, there's still room for 2 other denizens. But now look just above. Grey player, his pawn and 2 warbands are on the steppe. And look, steppe's capacity is 2 and there are already 2 denizens living here, the Wayside Inn and the Scouts. That means that no more denizen can be searched and found here on the steppe. On his turn, grey player can do the search action, he can draw 3 cards, but he cannot put a new denizen on his side, and so he cannot gain 1 favor. And this is very important, because as we will see, denizens seldom move from their site, so once a site is full up to its capacity, it is not possible to search new denizen there anymore. Some sites even have a capacity of 0, that means that no denizen can live here at all. Another point about the search action, when you draw your 3 cards, you can draw them from the word deck as we saw, but you can instead choose to draw them from your region's discard pile. Indeed, as each time a player does the search action, he discards 2 cards into the next region discard pile. As the game progresses, the 3 discard piles slowly fill up. So, in our example, blue player, instead of drawing 3 cards from the world deck, should have drawn them from the province's discard pile. Choose 1 among 3, play it on the site and gain 1 favor from the corresponding bank. And finally, he discards the 2 cards he didn't choose, and he discards them in the next region discard pile, that is in hinterland. You always discard in the next region discard pile. Okay, with your search action you found a denizen and settled him on your site. But why? Why would you do that? Yes, to earn 1 favor, but is that all? No, because you can also deal with denizens. You can use or buy their powers. Here, blue player is on the lush coast with 2 denizens. No matter if they were searched and found by blue player or by another player. Every time a player shares a site with some denizens, this player can deal with them. Dealing with denizens costs no supply. Remember the list of possible actions. Dealing with the denizen is the use power action. It costs 0 supply and allows you to use the power of the denizens that share the site you are on. Blue player on Lush Coast can use the capabilities, the power of the elders and the welcoming party. He can do so even if there is another player on that same site and even if there are warbands. A player on a site can always use this site's denizen powers. This doesn't cost any supply and can be done at any time during that player's turn. Let's take a look at the elders. Here, in the center of the card, you find the cost. What you have to give to the elders to get their help. 2 favors. So, blue player pays 2 favors from his mat and he puts them on the denizen card. And then, the elders do their action in return. They give him 1 secret. Blue players gains 1 secret. Okay, so the power of the elders is to change 2 favors for 1 secret. Note that the 2 favors stay on the denizen card, and while there's something favors or secrets on a denizen card, its power cannot be used anymore. So, had blue player 2 more favors to change for 1 more secret, he could not do it again with the elders. In other words, you can use a denizen power only once per turn. Blue player can still use the power of the other denizen on his site. You can deal with as much denizen as you want on your site. But look here, this denizen's power is not an action. There is no word action, but there is a symbol of search. That means that this denizen's capability changes the way the search action works. With the welcoming party, if blue player does a search action and settle a new denizen, he will gain 1 bonus favor from the half bank. Some cards have both. Here, for example, this denizen gives a bonus to the travel action, but with a cost of 1 favor. And because you must put 1 favor on it to use its power, you can use it only once per turn. Okay, so as you understand, it's quite easy. Every denizen comes with his own power and you can use it if you share his site with your own pawn and if you pay its cost, if any. At the end of blue player's turn, all favors on denizen cards are moved to this denizen's domain's bank. Elders are from the nomad suit, their 2 favors go to the nomad's bank. Elders ask for favors. Some actions require a secret. During the turn, the secret stays on the card and prohibits any other use. And at the end of the turn, the player takes his secret back on his mat. So he didn't spend his secret, but for one turn it stayed on the denizen card, making the card and the secret useless for one full turn. This is the great difference between the two currencies in the game, favors and secrets. Favors are spent to matching suit banks, secrets are recovered at the end of the turn. Some cards show the symbol of a broken favor. That means that when you pay for the action, you don't put your favor on the denizen's card, but you discard it instead. This broken favor won't go to any domain's bank. You simply discard it. The same with the torn secret book symbol. It means you discard a secret instead of putting it on the denizen card, and you won't recover it at the end of the turn. In both cases, because you don't put a secret or a favor on the card itself is not blocked by the favor or the secret. Okay, so you know how to use denizen's powers, and you understand how it is important for the character you play, Chancellor, Citizen or Exile. Denizens are the way you can do more actions. You can find and settle them with a search action, but you can also simply go where they are with the travel action and use their power, no matter if they was found by you or by another player. And now let's go back to our search action. So, search action, you play 2 supplies, you draw 3 cards either from the world deck or from your own region's discard pile, and you choose 1 card from these 3 and discard the 2 others in the next region's discard pile. But instead of setting the denizen on your side, you can decide to keep him for yourself as an advisor. That means you put the denizen's card just beside your own player's mat, you hire this denizen, and he will follow you wherever you go. All cards, tokens and pieces you have on or beside your mat are belongings, army and advisors you always keep with you in your travels. And from that point on, you will be able to use your advisor's power anywhere you are as if it was settled on your site. Here, for example, at any time during his turn, blue player can pay 1 favor to use his Inquisitor's power. He won't be able to use it twice in a turn because you cannot use a denizen's power if his card is not empty of any favors and secrets. At the end of blue player's turn, the favor will be put in his domain's bank. When you choose to keep a denizen as your advisors, you don't gain any favor. The favor is only gained when you settle a denizen on a site. When you take a denizen as an advisor, you can keep it face up or face down. If face down, it is hidden to the other players and you cannot use his power. You can think of a face down advisors as your hand of cards, but these face down advisors are still placed beside your player mat. Dealing with your face down advisors is a special action. On your turn, you don't pay any supply and you can play your face down advisor cards as if you just searched it. So you can just flip it up as a face-up advisor, or you can play it on your site, gaining 1 favor from this denizen's domain's bank. Here, for example, blue player on his turn settles his magician code that he kept hidden until now. He settles it where he is on the Lush Coast and earned 1 favor from the Arcane Bank. And he can also do that because there is still room on this site. Now, with 3 settled denizen, it is not possible to add any 1 more. A player can also choose to discard a face-down advisor, and as always, it goes to the next region discard pile. Okay, and all that means that when you get a denizen with the search action, you can play it right away as a face-up advisor or a denizen, or you can keep it face-down to play it later. Beware, don't confuse face-up with face-down advisor. As we just saw, you can always freely play your face-down advisor as if you just drew it from the deck and make him a face-up denizen or face-up advisor. But you cannot do that with already face-up advisor. Once face up, it's too late to settle him on the map. You have to decide whether you settle him as a denizen or keep him as an advisor the moment you flip him face up. After that, it's too late. There's a limit to the number of advisors you can have. Face up or face down, you can never have more than 3 advisors. If your advisor staff is already full and you want to recruit another, you can still discard one of your previous advisors, face up or face down. And please note that this is a great difference between advisors and denizens. On a site, if the number of denizens already reached its limit, it's no longer possible to settle a new denizen. You cannot discard a settled denizen to make room for new ones, but you can with your advisors. Finally, you have to know 3 special icons. This one, the small Christmas tree, means that this card can only be settled as a denizen on a site. It cannot be kept as a face-up advisor. Note that as long as it is face down, you can keep it with your 3 allowed advisors. But when you want to flip it up in order to use its powers, it must be on a site as a denizen. This other symbol means that this card can only be played as a face-up advisor. It can never be settled on a site. And finally, this symbol, the small chain, means that once played face-up, this card cannot be discarded nor moved in any way. It is locked. For example, the long lost hair is locked and advisor only. So, if you play it face-up, it must be beside your mat and it will stay there until the end of the game. That means that you will have only 2 remaining spaces for advisors because of the total limit of 3. Fine, we know how to search and to find some denizens to deal with, but sometimes, as you are searching for denizens, you can find something else, you can have a vision. In the world deck, among all denizen cards, some vision cards are hidden. Mainly, there are 4 vision cards. There is a 5th one, but more on that later. Vision cards, as you know since the first video of this series, give a goal to exile players. When you play an exile, getting a vision card and fulfilling its win condition is one of your great hope of winning this game. So, if you are an exile player, you want a vision card. And when you are an Empire player, Chancellor or Citizen, you also want these cards to keep them face down just to be sure that exile players won't get them. Okay, so how to get these vision cards? By doing the search action. Each time you perform the search action, you draw 3 cards from the world deck where the 4 visions are hidden. And when at last you find a vision card, you can either reveal it as your own vision, it then becomes your personal goal, your main victory condition, or you can just keep it as a face-down advisor. Remember that you can keep a maximum of 3 cards, face up and face down, beside your mat, and keep them here as long as you want. And wait, here is a funny detail. The back of vision cards is not the same as regular denizen cards. So, when a player with a search action draws a vision among his 3 cards, or when a player discards a vision in a discard pile, or when a player keeps a vision hidden as a face-down advisor, every time the other players know that this is a vision because of its back. So, I take an example. Let's say I am the Chancellor, it's my turn, and I do a search action. I pay 2 supplies, then I choose to take my 3 cards from the world deck, and there is a vision in it. I personally see that this vision is a vision of face. Other players only see the back of my cards, but they know that there is a vision among these 3 cards. I'd like to keep the wrestlers, let's say, as an advisor, because it's a good denizen, but also because the vision is of no use to me. The Chancellor doesn't care about a vision. He cannot use it for victory conditions. But if I do that, I must discard the 2 other cards in the next region discard pile, that is, in the provinces. And all other players will know that one of the 4 visions is now in the province's discard pile, and as you imagine, exiled player will run to the provinces and do a search action in its discard pile, and now you understand that in a game of Oath, there is always a hunt for vision cards, so precious for exiled player but useless to Chancellor and citizens. And just a last thing about vision cards. When a player, here the Chancellor, does a search action from the world deck, he plays 2 supplies, then he draws 1, 2 and stop. As soon as he draws a vision card, he must stop. Here the Chancellor won't draw 3 cards. He stops at 2 because his second draw was a vision. Also, as soon as a vision card is drawn from the world deck, the vision counter is moved 1 step on the vision track, here, just above the world deck, 1 step. And look, that increases the cost of future search actions. Next time any player does a search action from the world deck, this action will cost 3 supplies. And every time a new vision card is drawn from the world deck, the counter will go 1 step to the right. And then, as the 3rd vision card is drawn, the search cost goes up to 4 supplies. And we can say that from this moment, there are 3 vision cards in the game, some owned by players, others in the discard piles, but everyone knows where these 3 vision cards are. And when 3 vision cards at least are in play, a vision victory becomes possible. This condition in fact is written on every vision card. For example, here, if an exiled player wants to win with his Vision of Faith, he must be the one who owns the Banner of Darkest Secrets, but there must be also at least 3 vision cards in the game. 3 vision cards already drawn from the world deck. Okay, and now you see how the world deck breathes its rhythm into the game, making search action costlier and finally unlocking the vision victory conditions. And I say the world deck because it is not true of the 3 region discard piles. Doing a search action from a discard pile always costs 2 supplies, whatever the number of vision cards in play. And you always draw 3 cards. You won't stop when you draw a vision card, and you don't increase the vision counter. And that's it for the search action, a core action for the game of Oath, essential for finding denizens, advisors and visions. Okay, but what about relics? You remember when a player travels to a new site, he can uncover some relics. And all players on the site can look at the face-down relics. But how can they acquire and take the relic for their own use? This is the recover action. Let's say that blue player needs relics. Here there are 4 relics on the map board, and perhaps some more in this site that is still face down, yet to be discovered. And you can note that there are not many relics in the game. When players will find and get these 4 relics, there will be no others. And when you know that having the largest number of relics can be one of the victory conditions, you understand that you'd better be the fastest to discover and obtain these precious relics. So, as blue player, let's get a relic. And from where he is, on the lush coast, he cannot pick at any of the 4 relics. Relics are always face down on the map, and one must travel to the relic site if he wants to look at it. So let's go. Blue players travel to the step, it costs 2 supplies. And now he can look at the relic, no matter if an Imperial Warband is here. So he secretly looks at it. It is the Dragonskin Drum. And as you see, it has a special power. Every time its owner makes the travel action, it gains 1 warband. That's fine. And blue players decides he wants to recover this relic. Recover action. Very simple. It always costs 1 supply. Okay, blue player pays 1 supply. Then he must pay another cost for the exploration itself. And that cost only depends on the site where the relic is hidden. The cost is always printed in the bottom right of the side card. Here, blue player must pay 3 favors to the Nomad's Bank. Then, it just takes for him the relic he just discovered and puts it beside his mat. Okay, that's easy. The cost varies from site to site. In the Drowned City there are 2 relics, and for each of them you need to discard 2 favors. One recover action recovers 1 relic. As you already know, this broken favor symbol means that the favor doesn't go to the bank, but it is discarded. In the marshes, recovering the relic costs 1 secret that you must discard. That's the meaning of this torn book symbol. And now, blue player can use his new relic's power, Dragonskin Drum. Every time he does a travel action, he gains 1 warband added to his mat. That's a huge advantage. Relics powers look like denizen's powers. Some are actions that you can do for 0 supply during your turn, paying the cost, here 1 secret, and using the capability, here you can pick at 1 hidden card. If the cost is a secret, you get it back to your mat at the end of your turn. The cost can also be a broken favor or a torn secret. In both cases, the favor or the secret is discarded and lost. There is no maximum to the number of relics a player can own. But wait, there is more. With that same action, recover, you can also recover banners. A banner is not like a relic, a hidden object you must discover deep under a drowned city or into a thick jungle. No, a banner is some kind of trophy. It's a flag that stands for an ID. There are 2 banners, the banner of the people and the banner of the darkest secret. And let's say, for the sake of simplicity, that at the beginning of the game, neither of them belongs to anyone. Both banners are waiting beside the gaming board. In fact, it depends on the oath, but more on that later. On his turn, any player can claim a banner. He doesn't have to go anywhere to find and get it. He just claims it from where he is. And for that, he uses the recover action. Let's start with the banner of the darkest secret. It's blue player's turn and he wants to get this banner. First, this is a recover action, so he pays 1 supply. Getting a banner is always an auction. You must pay more than already on the banner. For the banner of the darkest secret, the currency is the secret. At the beginning of the game, there's 1 secret on the banner, and so to speak, to get the banner, you must prove you know more secrets than the previous owner. Here, blue player must only bid 2 secrets, that is, 1 more than previously on the banner. He could pay 3, 4 or 5 as soon as he bids more than what is currently on the banner. Here, he just pays 2 and the banner is his. The new owner, blue player, takes 1 secret that was previously on the banner. Okay, he takes this secret. And so, in our example, the net price for the banner was only 1 secret. He paid 2, but he gets 1 afterwards. Blue player is now the owner of the banner of the darkest secret. He takes it as a trophy, but he cannot use the secrets that are on the banner. These secrets are locked. They represent how dark this terrible secret is. And now, how can another player take it from the blue player? When the banner is held by a player, there is another condition to fulfill. On the site where the owner is, there must be 1 denizen whose domain, his suit, doesn't fit any of the owner's advisor's domains. Let's put it another way with some examples. Red player wants to claim the banner of the darkest secret. There are 2 secrets on the banner, so with 3 secrets at least, red can outbid the banner and claim it. The current owner, blue player, doesn't have any advisor, so no suit to protect him. But still, red player needs a denizen on blue player's site. Let's see the map. Here, blue spawn is on a site with no denizen at all, so the first condition is not fulfilled. Red player cannot claim the banner. If there is a denizen on blue site, this time it's okay. There's a denizen with blue spawn and he doesn't fit any blue's advisor suit because blue player doesn't have any advisor. If blue player has an advisor from the same suit as the denizen on his site, this is not okay anymore. Here, for example, the suit is the Arcane, the same on the Inquisitor that on the Fire Talkers. If I add another denizen from the same suit, arcane, that doesn't help. Still, there is no denizen from a domain that is not among blue's advisors. Here also, it's still not good. There are two denizens from two different suits, but for each suit, there is a matching advisor attached to blue mat. And finally, in this last case, it's okay for red. Thanks to the rangers, there is a denizen on blue's side that doesn't fit any blue's advisor. So red pays one supply because it's a recover action and it always costs one supply. Then he gives his secrets to outbid and claim the banner. From the secrets that were previously on the banner, red takes one and the rest goes back to the previous owner, blue. Okay, and note that it does not matter where red pawn is, nor what are red's advisors. Especially, red pawn does not have to share blue pawn's site. Red and blue players don't have to meet. Only the defender of the banner matters. If you own the banner of the darkest secret, and if you always manage to stay in a site with no denizen out of your advisor's suit, nobody can claim your precious treasure. Now, a player can claim a banner he owns himself just to raise its cost. Let's suppose that later in the game, red player earns 3 more secrets. He pays 1 supply because it's a recover action. There is no prerequisite because there is no threat on his possession, so he pays to outbid his own banner. And because he's both the previous owner and the new one, he takes back all the secrets that was on the banner. Okay, now we know how to claim this banner, but why? What is the darkest secret used for? First, the darkest secret contributes to 2 of the 4 basic goals of the game. And also, look, the owner of this banner always spends 2 supplies for the search action, even from the world deck, no matter how many visions are in play. So you can recover relics, you can recover the banner of the darkest secret, and finally you can recover the banner of the people. This banner is very close to the darkest secret, but it works with favors instead of secrets. The banner of the darkest secret was the symbol of your knowledge of the oldest lore of the empire. The banner of the people shows how famous and popular you are among the empire's people. And how to be famous in these lands, you guess it, with money. So at start, let's say this banner belongs to no one. It stays beside the game board with 1 favor on it. From a game to another, setup can vary, but for the moment, let's say we start like this. On his turn, any player can claim it as a recover action. It does not matter where the player pawn is, nor where the banner itself is, and any player on his turn can claim the people's banner. For this, he just has to pay 1 supply, because it's still a standard recover action, and bid more favors than those currently on the banner. There is absolutely no condition, no denizen needed, no advisor suit. It's far simpler than with the banner of the darkest secret. Here, blue player takes a recover action, he pays 1 supply and bid 3 favors. Okay, he gets the banner of the people. And the favor, which was previously on the banner, goes to any bank on the map, blue player's choice. If there are several favors on the banner, the player puts the first one in a bank of his choice, then to the right 1 favor per bank. Okay, easy. Anyone who wants the banner takes a recover action with no condition and has just to outbid the favors already on it. And why do this? Because owning the banner of the people counts in 2 victory conditions. But also because the player who owns it gets a huge benefit. Every time he will add a denizen on the map, on a site, in a region, he will first be able to discard a denizen from that region and then settle his own denizen on any site of that region, not only the site where he is himself. Let's take an example, and let's suppose that blue player must settle a denizen on the map, either because he just drew it with a search action, or because he owned it as a face-down advisor and wants now to settle it on the map. Blue is here on the plains in the Cradle region, And normally, he should not be able to settle his denizen here because the site where he is full. Planes at a capacity of 3 and there are already 3 denizens on it. But blue player owns the banner of the people, so before settling his denizen, he can discard a denizen from this region. He can discard the elders and settle the disgraced captain instead. And because he can discard any denizen from his region and settle his card in any site of his region, he can also discard the scouts and settle on the lush coast, even if he is not himself on that site. Or he can discard the elders and settle on the lush coast. All combinations are possible. The banner of the people gives you the power to rearrange people in your region. Better than that, it allows you to settle denizen in sites that are already overcrowded. Usually, players cannot do that when a site is full of denizen, when its capacity is reached. There is no way to discard denizen and make room. Only the banner of the people allows you to do that. Okay, but it's not so easy to maneuver the crowds. Owning the banner of the people implies some responsibility. At the beginning of his turn, the owner of the banner must add a favor on it, or he must take a favor from it and give it to the poorest bank in the game. Let's suppose blue player owns the banner of the people. It is the beginning of his turn, so he can choose. He can choose to add one of his own favor to the banner, or to take a favor from the banner and give it to the poorest bank. Here, it would be the bank of the order. If there is a tie, the player can choose. The first choice costs 1 favor. If blue player wants to keep doing that every turn, he will have to earn and let go 1 favor per turn. The second choice is costless for the player, but it lessens the number of favors on the banner and makes it easier to claim for other players. The more favors on the banner, the more peace of mind the owner can keep. Okay, that could be fine, but there's still another problem. If at any moment there are 6 favors on the banner or more, you flip it and it becomes a mob. On its mob side, nothing really changes, but all goes twice faster. And every turn, the player will have to add 2 favors or to give 2 favors to the poorer bank, or 1 of each. Once a mob, the banner never goes back to neutral side as long as it stays under the same owner. If someone else claims the banner by outbidding as a recover action, it turns it back to its neutral side. A player can outbid himself just to flip the banner out of its mob status. And if the banner ever goes to the minimum of 1 favor on it, you don't have choice but to add 1 favor every turn or twice if in mob status. And that means that a badly managed banner can become a black hole sucking all your favors out. Okay, that was the banner of the people. And now you know the whole recover action, how to recover relics and the 2 banners. And so up to now we can travel, search for denizen, recover relics and claim banners. We can keep advisors, use them or settle them as denizen. We can use power from denizen, advisors and relics. Okay, and we saw also that to do all these things, we often need 2 currencies, secrets and favors. And now, before ending this second video, we need some kind of action that can ease all this business, an action, for example, that could transform a currency into another. This is the trade action. This one is really simple. Blue player has 4 secrets but no favors and he needs favors. Thanks to the trade action, he will change his secrets into favors. That's what trade is made for. So first, you need someone to trade with. A player always trades with a denizen that shares his site. Blue player is on the plains with 3 denizens. That's a lot of possible business partners. The rule is, for 1 secret he gives, he gets in return 1 favor plus 1 other favor for each advisor he has with the same suit from the same domain that his trading partner. So here first, he trades with the fire talkers. He pays 1 supply because every trade action costs 1 supply. Then he gives his secret to the denizen, the fire talker, and he gets 1 favor in returns taken from this denizen's bank. Fire talker are from the arcane suit, so blue player takes his favor from the arcane bank. And that's it. This is one trade. Blue player didn't get any bonus favor because he has no arcane suit advisor. Then, with 5 supply points remaining, he can trade again. But he cannot trade with fire talkers anymore because remember, you cannot add any favor or secrets on a denizen card if it is not empty. There is now a secret on the fire talker's card, so no more trade is possible with this card. Blue player trades with the next denizen, the elders. He pays 1 supply, puts 1 secret on the denizen and gets 2 favors from the nomad's bank. 2 because he gets 1 bonus favor for the matching suit advisor he has. And finally, he can still trade with the forester. 1 supply, 1 secret, and he should get 2 favors because one of his advisors fit the forester's suit. But there is only 1 coin left in the corresponding bank, so he gets only 1 favor. Now he cannot trade anymore. Note that, for example, if he wants now to travel, he cannot use the forest path power, because this power requires to pay 1 favor to the denizen, and there is already a secret on this card. You can never add any secret or favor on a card for whatever reason if there is some already. At the end of the turn, blue player takes back every secret he put on denizen cards. That's always the case at the end of each turn. Players take back all the secrets they have put on denizen cards for whatever reason. It's quite logical if you think about it. When you teach a secret to someone, you don't lose it. Okay, but you can trade also the other way. Give favors for secrets. This way you must give 2 favors to a denizen on your side and you get 1 secret in return for every advisor you have that matches his denizen suit. And that means that if you don't have any matching advisor, you can trade at all for secrets. You'd get nothing. Here, for example, blue player cannot get any secret from the fire talkers because he has no advisor from the arcane. He can pay 1 supply and give 2 favors to the elders to get 1 secret. The secret comes from the general pool, there is no bank for secrets. And then he can trade again with the forester. And at the end of the turn, all favors on denizens go to the banks matching these denizen suits. And that's it for the trade action, an action that seems symmetrical but is not at all. Both ways need that you share a site with a denizen and both ways cost 1 supply. But if you have secrets and want to change them for favors, you are guaranteed to get at least 1 favor, even without any advisors, and you get your secrets back at the end of the turn. The other way, if you have favors and want secrets, you must have matching advisors, you must pay at least 2 favors and you don't get your favors back. And this is the end of video number 2. I'll see you on next video, number 3, where we will stop talking, trading and exploring, and at last we will begin the fight. In video number 3, it's time to go to war.